Hello everyone, today we're doing a little theory check on this guy named Cartoon Universe. If you guys want to know his channel so you know I'm not stealing it, here is his channel right here. I'm just going to play a video of it, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and then I'm going to say if there's holes in this theory or if there's a chance they're real. So, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video, and let's get straight into this.
Not Vox has feelings for Alastor, and more interestingly, whether or not Alastor seems to have some sort of feelings for Vox. Though before you start spamming the comments saying he's asexual, try to hear me out on what I'm actually talking about in this video. This all started with episode 4 of season 2, where we got an interesting flashback giving us insight into the relationship between Vox and Alastor. But seasons 1 and 2 are largely framed by the conflict between them. But as we saw in the flashback, they were once friends, or at the very least, friendly.
He is right about that. They were friendly, I guess I would say, but Alastor, he did say there's no friends in hell. And if there's no friends in hell, he certainly thinks there's no lovers. Therefore, he thinks there's only sin in hell, such as lust, which that's what he was thinking Vox was feeling, most likely. Because Vox was acting all giddy like he liked him, you know, like a schoolgirl. Except for he's a grown man in hell. Also, he had like a pretty badass background, and then he turned all giddy like a schoolgirl. That kind of proves that he did like Alastor. And if you guys think this theory is true, like this video, comment down below if you want to know any other theories. And we're not done yet. I'm going to continue playing this video.
In the flashbacks themselves, Vox claims that Alastor and Vox had become really close in the last few years, and the way he is acting nervous in this scene makes it seem like he is really sincere.
Well, that is because he is sincere, because he does like Alastor, as I just said multiple times. So, he does like Alastor. That is a for sure fact right there, because, well, he killed multiple people to get higher up. And if he killed Alastor, he would be all the way at the top. He also knows Alastor is stronger than him, but maybe with his sneaky skills he could rally up all hell. You know, he does control the network, or soon too. And that's basically where he gets to in the future, which is a great possibility for him if he could pull it off. But Alastor does make some allies, or should I say acquaintances, that help him in a way.
Vox is canonically bisexual from what I understand, getting into sexual escapades with other men like Valentino, but also being interested in women, and it seems like he genuinely had feelings for Alastor here as well. The thing is, when he talks about how much they seem to be great together, he even talks about how other people like them together, which indicates that they've been seen in public and interacted together. In the present, Alastor really hates video, so I'm not sure he would appear on screen with Vox back in the day, but
Well, this guy doesn't really think about what he's saying. The only reason Vox doesn't like TVs is because of Vox. He dislikes Vox. It's not that the fact that he hates TVs, it's the fact that he hates Vox. You know, they become enemies. But in the past, he didn't really care about TVs. He found them insignificant compared to radio, since, you know, that's kind of his whole thing. Plus, it kind of is, at least in his era, but they're pushing him out. Radio's all out of the era, yet he's still the strongest. Yet, this guy still hasn't told me a single thing that will make me think that Alastor likes him back.
maybe in the early days, he and Vox would interact in other forms. Whether it's in person, like at the bar we see here, or even just in the medium of radio with Alastor. Having Vox do radio interviews about this new little fad, as Alastor would call it, the television. From Alastor's point of view in the present, he says that he thought Vox was actually becoming something like an equal to him.
Yes, that is actually what Alastor said, but he's only saying it because Vox is rising to power, not because he likes him, because he can recognize when something is becoming more powerful. But Alastor knew that if he kept on growing, he would actually become a threat to him if he decided to, kill him. But Alastor was confident that he could win against Vox in any type of situation. That's why he broke off their, should I say, alliance, I guess it would be, or like a truce, because Alastor didn't want to attack him. Well, probably didn't feel like it because he was too insignificant, like a regular devil in hell.
If Alastor did seriously think of TV as a passing fad to start, he's at least claiming in the present that he thought Vox could use it the way that he uses radio. This, of course, can just be part of Alastor's attempt to make Vox more insecure about what happened, as he's dragging this story up to taunt him. But he may be playing off of things that were true, feelings Alastor did have in order to really rub the salt in the wound that Alastor essentially rejected Vox because he was too clingy. Finally, the episode ended with the two getting into a heated musical duet that had them breathing heavily in each other's faces like they either just had sex or were about to.
No, they were not. In case you don't know, he was singing. Do you know how hard singers do to sing for that long? It is a pretty tough thing. Normally he doesn't huff and puff. Yeah, I know, I get it. You think it might be a sign, but no. It's like closer to like pissed off for Alastor. Maybe Vox was thinking that, but Alastor, no. He like, people say he's an asexual, and there's some people who are like he's waiting for the right person. I think that he dislikes men in general, because we know, or might know, that he preferred his mother over his father every day, so he thought men were brutes, just drunken idiots with no lives or futures. Yet he treats women with a lot more kindness. He hasn't hit a single woman, but he's killed lots of men. Therefore, he thinks women are more precious. So, because that's basically what he thinks, because his mother was like, basically like a goddess to him. The kindest person he knew, and then he was killed by a man. So I think he's not gay. He's waiting for the right woman. Now let's see what this guy thinks about it, even though he can't.
Valentino himself comments on this, asking them if that is what they're about to do, and of course, as the overlord of adult films, if he can record it.
Actually, what he was trying to do was, like, just tell them to do it already, because it seemed like to him that Vox really liked him, even though Vox is kind of dating him, which is kind of strange that he would encourage it, but he is the overlord of adult films, as he said. Don't know why you would choose that, even though you could be the frickin' overlord of anything cool. Like, frickin' Alastor over here, the radio demon, way better. The media demon, way better. Adult films, like, what the fuck, bro? He's just basically a cameraman. That's basically all he is. Now I'm off topic. Okay, I'm gonna let you continue now.
A lot of their fans from decades ago would apparently have liked this, but of course, it's a very interesting thing to paint Alastor and Vox's relationship as. Alastor, as I said, is canonically asexual, but one thing a lot of fans don't think about with these labels is the nuance that can come with it for a certain character. According to the early livestream lore, which of course isn't necessarily canon, so take with a grain of salt here, Alastor believes himself to be what we would call a normal straight man. While he's known to be asexual to Vivziepop, and thus now the audience with her confirmation, he isn't someone who has thought about that label or dwelt on it.
Well, now he's gotten a little smidge of proof there. I'm joking. He's like, it's not canon, but honestly, I think it's mostly true. He does find men boorish, or just basically anything but good. Because, you know, his father was a drunk man, who killed his mother, as we saw in the song Upside Down, if that is true. So, you know, there's always a chance with these characters, since this is in hell. But I say no. 9, I say. I don't speak German, I just got that from, Record of Ragnarok. Great show, watch it. But, yeah. I've lost track. Okay, I'm gonna let him continue. Damn.
Alastor came from a time where those sort of labels weren't really well known, and even just the other labels that eventually led to asexuality becoming more mainstream weren't exactly accepted. With that in mind, while Alastor is asexual, he was described in the early livestream lore as thinking of himself as straight, imagining one day meeting a woman he wants to be with, but simply never finding her yet.
Yes, because he's actually looking for the perfect woman, not just any woman he can find off the street. And it's kind of hard now that he's in hell. So, how do you think he's going to find his type of woman? He wants a loyal, and probably one that's, like, good with all his murders, too. Kind as well, like his mother. I think his ideal woman is more like his mother. Kind, and really cares about his, livelihood, just like his mother did. His mother was a big character in his life of growing up. So he definitely wants someone more like his mother. But in hell, that's kind of hard to find. You know, his ideal woman is very hard to find in hell, including because there's only hoes and sluts in there. So, you know, it's kind of hard. Unless they were born in hell, there's always a chance, just like Charlie, that someone could be his ideal woman. But that is still hard to find. As we know, it's kind of rare to have someone born into hell. Unless you're checking out with Hazbin Boss. But those are mostly imps and lower class demons that weren't alive. Also, I don't think those are the same time periods either. I think Hazbin Boss is probably like way before any of that. Like probably way longer than 8 years before, because we see no angels coming down to exterminate.
In his quest for more power. Though part of the reason he finds this lie so easy to believe is he does find women in general to be delightful and pleasant company. His relationship with men, however, is a lot more antagonistic. According to the early livestream lore, Alastor tends to define other men by their worst traits, and sees them more as active players in the game of life, or in this case, the game of the afterlife. It's men who are supposed to conquer, be brutal, and even be violent with each other, and Alastor sees that as something they're not allowed to inflict on women, with
Now you're getting even closer to what I'm saying here. He does find them as violent and kind of the opposite of women, who are supposed to be pleasant, as he said, and mostly, like, kind, like caring, like kind of like a mother's love. Exactly what he experienced with his mother. I think that he is onto something now. He is onto something for sure now.
women, and even just smaller, more fair demons being things that he needs to protect. But the dynamic he has seeing only other men as active players in the game he is in leads to some pent-up tension with other players like Vox. This isn't because Alastor has this tension with men in general, but as we said already, he was saying that he saw Vox as some sort of equal, and as Valentino pointed out, there was some sort of tension that developed because of it. The thing is that Alastor believes in nothing but getting as much power as possible, and for someone else to also accumulate a lot of power in the ways that he has with his industry, leaving out the fact that he gets a lot of his power from Rosie, it would make sense that the only person he saw as his sort of equal, which is the closest he gets to a partner, is someone else who had done the same as him. So in the world of asexual Alastor, where he thinks he's interested in women, but tends to have his most meaningful relationships be with other men, Vox is essentially the most passionate relationship that he has.
Actually, that is incorrect. The only reason he's actually established a bond with Vox, you know, that little first starter bond for a couple of years, and he kind of broke it off pretty easy. I think it wasn't really more of a relationship and maybe more of a way to get someone powerful on his side, or someone as a tool to use in his grasp for more power. Because he, as he said, he judges them by their worst traits, and Vox's trait was his love. So, he kicked that right out the window, and that turned into hatred. That made Vox grow even stronger and then become a thorn in his side, which I doubt he expected that, but Vox actually became something he needed to get rid of his bonds with Rosie. You know, if Vox never appeared, it would have been terrible for him. So I think Alastor actually knew that Vox was going to rise to power, and that he could break Vox's heart, make Vox hate him, and then make Vox the strongest sinner in hell in order to break Rosie's contract. Because if he's no longer the strongest in hell, and Vox is, the contract is broken, and then he can become the stronger and rise to power once again.
Especially with everyone in hell wanting him to end up with Vox based on their public image back in the day. So as far as an asexual with self-perceived interest in women goes, it's an incredibly tense dynamic to have with another man. But Vox ruined this by wanting to go from just equals existing side by side to being actual partners. And unfortunately, the two seem to be very defined by this falling out, particularly Vox. He's kind of a manipulative shark now, what with him having gills, and I imagine he was a TV shark as you called it back in his life on Earth. But with Alastor, he seems to be acting.
So, he did get that right. Since this is a little before the new season, we do know that it's true. He was a news shark. He actually killed someone with a shark. That's probably why it makes his pet shark so important. But he is right. He is a weatherman and slowly kills his way up. That's why he's in hell. He also has a little cult, as Valentino said, and that's where I think he actually intentionally put water on the ground and then a TV fell on his head, electrocuting and killing everyone there. So that's probably a part of his cult too.
Very genuine and even nervous. He doesn't seem to be manipulating people personally, and I think it's from here that he realizes he needs to start doing that. After being put down by Alastor and made fun of by him, he starts to realize that he can't be vulnerable with his feelings, especially when trying to create powerful relationships. Now, Vox doesn't seem to go into relationships when he's uncertain, and he definitely doesn't seem to offer people equal power. Following his split with Alastor, if we can even really call it a split, eventually Valentino would come into hell and revolutionize what Vox could use his screens for with adult films. A market you couldn't really tap with public television during his life on Earth, but now that he's in hell, he's finding ways to make all of these things cross over with no moral boundaries. Vox and Valentino definitely have a dynamic that goes just beyond sex, I would say, and I think the most obvious example of this is all the way back in episode 1 of the season when Vox is showing Valentino all of the times that he is hit Angel. After this, Valentino just blows it off saying that Vox is obsessed with him, and Vox even gets blushed in the face, making it clear to me that he does have some feelings for Valentino, even if it doesn't have the exact same feelings he had for Alastor.
As we know in the newest season, Valentino actually does have feelings for Vox that actually do go beyond sex, as we know, for sure. But Vox, as he said, he doesn't like Alastor as much as he liked he didn't like Valentino as much as he liked Alastor. He still liked them. It was more like a smaller one. Like Alastor, I guess he was more naive, but now he is sharper. Not as sharp as Alastor, as he said in the song. He failed that shit. Smarter? Hell no, he just got Rosie's chains unlocked, and now I'm off topic. Let's continue. I might not interrupt anymore. I might not.
With Valentino, there seems to be the promise that they were going to work together, but Valentino doesn't seem to have the kind of brain power that Vox has, and Vox doesn't seem to be willing to let anyone into his inner circle who isn't under his complete control. Because of that, he keeps acting like this is some big plan he has in order to elevate himself, Valentino, and even his third V, Velvet. But everything he does is really for his own goals, and he uses other people's resources even when they don't want it. Valentino and Velvet are already acting early on in this season like Vox is the one going off the rails with this huge plan, and while they are involved with it, it's really for his own self-aggrandizement. It's about Vox wanting to become a god in a singular sense, not ruling with Velvet and Valentino by his sides as anything more than useful tools. It's sad to think that if Vox hadn't met Alastor, he might have a different relationship with Valentino. Right now they get along together and they seem to have this fake family.
They only have that little bond because, well, he's using them, basically. In short, he's using them.
With Valentino and Vox being fathers and Velvet being their teenage daughter who took over social media. But after what happened with Alastor, it seems like Vox isn't willing to let another man or woman get close to him in the same way. And instead, all he does now is focus on himself and focus on making deals that put other people in his control instead of elevating them to the level of partners. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want even more Hazbin Hotel goodness, don't forget to subscribe here or to sign up for our early access memberships program. With each episode of Hazbin Hotel that gets released, I put my thoughts in one big audio file right here on the channel for everyone to listen to in our early access club. And even after finishing those, we also have our Atlantis 2 mythological breakdown, which a lot of you were requesting after the Atlantis 1 video did so well, as well as a breakdown of the Magical Girl anime, Magical Girl Madoka. Links as always are in the pinned comment down below, but don't forget to subscribe as these videos will be made public eventually. See you guys next time.
Well, if you like this video, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video, and see you guys in the next video. Peace!